Did you know that the average American is exposed to 4,000 to 10,000 ads per day? That figure is appalling to me because last week I spent one day counting all of the ads I noticed and I only counted about 80. That's like, I don't know how many, 3 or 4 ads right there. 5. So whether we like it or not, we're constantly being marketed to, and it's shaping our desires, habits, and even shaping the identity we want to portray. I've come to realize that's how overconsumption works, not through big purchases, but through tiny daily nudges that quietly drain our time, money, and peace of mind. And the most perplexing part is that we barely notice it happening. I, for example, have like 8 pairs of jeans. Obviously, I didn't buy them all at once, but somehow through the last few years, I have accumulated 8 pairs of jeans for my 1 pair of legs. The endless cycle of buying, upgrading, and constantly wanting more is quietly draining your time, money, energy, and joy. In this video, I'll explore how overconsumption steals from you in subtle ways, through small indulgences that you can't really afford. By the way, if you're new to this channel, I'm Carly. I mostly talk about intentional living, personal finance, and lifestyle. So if you're interested, subscribe and ring the notification bell. I also have a weekly newsletter linked in the description box if you're interested in hearing from me in your inbox. Overconsumption most obviously drains our wallets, but probably not in the way that we immediately think. It's not the single small purchases that quietly drain us. It's a series of small or medium purchases that become a lifestyle because we become attached to the dopamine hits of low stakes spending. If you haven't specifically considered these costs and budgeted for them into your lifestyle budget, then it quickly becomes a slippery slope. The average American spends around $513 a month on online purchases. By the way, that ends up being around $6,156 a year, almost enough to fully max out a Roth IRA in 1 year. But when we make online purchases, or in-person purchases for that matter, they probably aren't happening all in one day, or even 1 week. It might look like $25 one weekend, $80 the next weekend, and $150 over the course of the week, etc. We aren't reminded of how much we've spent over the past days and weeks unless we explicitly continue to look at our budget on a daily basis. After a few days, we probably don't even remember what we bought. I, for one, have to think quite hard about what I did 3 days ago, much less what I bought 3 days ago. Maybe that's just me, but when we don't have the clarity of how much we're spending, the impact of the constant stream of low stakes purchases doesn't really hit us. We often forget that the cost of something isn't just what you spend, it's also the opportunity cost of where you could have allocated the money instead. That includes paying off debt, bulking up your emergency fund, buying back your time, or investing in the market for compounding returns. Even beyond the financial aspect of overconsumption, accumulating things in your home drains you more than just spending the money. As you're deciding what to buy or whether or not to buy it, you probably compare options and do research on all of the options on the market. Then when you acquire it, you have to decide whether you like it enough to keep it, and if you don't, you have to spend the time and energy to return it or give it away. Once you've purchased the item, you will add the item to your home, and that might turn into clutter if you're not taking care of it and putting it away. Having more things leads to more opportunities for decision fatigue and clutter-induced stress. Sometimes we also have buyer's remorse, where 1 year later we realize we didn't use the item as much as we thought we would have. All of these aspects require our attention and probably don't do any favors to our mental health. When we overconsume, we end up spending mental capacity managing stuff rather than doing things that move our lives forward. When it comes to fulfillment, we don't always buy things because we need to use them. Sometimes we buy things because we aspire to be like someone we know or we see. And to be clear, we get a lot of this inspiration through social media, which is a significant driver of overconsumption. TikTok Shop, for example, generated a revenue of $33 billion in 2024. It's projected to double that figure in 2025. When we build our identity and sense of fulfillment through what we buy instead of who we become through internal work and action, we fall into a trap of constantly buying the next thing to feel like enough. That might look like a gym outfit to inspire you to work out more, or a watercolor set you buy because you want to take on a slow hobby, or it's skincare products to aspire toward glass skin. When these transformations don't happen, because frankly it's just not guaranteed, where does that actually leave us? What gets muddled in all of this noise is that fulfillment doesn't come from owning things that signal an identity, it comes from actually living it. I have observed my personal patterns enough to know that at this stage in my life, the dopamine hit I get from most of the things I buy disappear well within, say, 2 weeks. For the items that were objectively great purchases for me that make my life easier on a regular basis, I feel like I have to be intentionally grateful for them. Otherwise, these items become part of a daily routine that I don't think twice about. One learning that completely factored into reframing my purchasing habits was looking at one particular small business I was interested in acquiring last year. It was a feminine care e-commerce business. The margins on their products were high, and this business had some comparatively minute overhead costs. Overall, it looked like a decent business model. They were sourcing the products for something like $3 to $5 and then selling them for anywhere from $25 to $40. It was a product that leaned into women doing labor to present themselves in a socially acceptable way. So think along the lines of hair care, makeup, self-care, etc. But here's the part that completely turned me off. The owners were two male business partners and they were marketing solely to women. They weren't solving a problem that they experienced themselves or could even relate to because these beauty standards conventionally don't apply to them. In fact, it seemed like they created this business because there was an opportunity to profit from artificially created social conditioning and expectations that women are expected to uphold. After observing this, I really started questioning who I'm supporting with the products I buy. Am I just a number that people want to make money off of? I often question how much it would cost to make the item I'm eyeing versus how much I'm being charged. Basically, am I getting taken advantage of as a consumer? And this is something I never would have considered to this degree if I hadn't been able to take a first-hand look at how some businesses are run behind the scenes. I'm also aware that sometimes I'm buying someone's design or idea, and there are overhead costs to all businesses, which factor into the price I'm paying. I'm not necessarily concerned about those scenarios, though I will still ask myself whether or not these purchases make sense for me. Also, I'm aware that pricing psychology exists. The idea that as consumers, we place more value on more expensive items than the same item for less money. I fall for it sometimes because I'm willing to spend more money on high quality things, but also not all expensive things are necessarily high quality. Overall, if I get the sense that a brand is severely overpricing a product based on the quality of the product, I will not buy it simply because I'm kind of stubborn. As the consumer, in most cases, I have the power. Also, in the moment, I don't always know what is overpriced or not because I don't have insights into every single industry. That's why I like to take a couple of days to weeks to do research into the item I'm looking to purchase. And that research, to be clear, is still mental energy involved around consumerism. If you just consider how much the average American spends on online purchases on a yearly basis, which is to say over $6,000, that alone is enough to pause and consider where to cut back. On top of that, there's the mental energy it takes to research, purchase, and continue to take care of the things that we buy. Not to mention, most impulse purchases don't really provide that much fulfillment. It's the purchases that you haven't given much thought to that, more often than not, might drain your life. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to check out the PDF of 10 questions to ask yourself before you buy something new. One aspect of why it's so easy to partake in overconsumption lies in how affordable things might seem. Check out this video where I break down the illusion of affordability and how to protect yourself by spending intentionally.